The loader function that we have built, it is taking more than 3 seconds to display the product's information on the homepage. This is because we are intentionally sleeping the thread for 3 seconds on the backend code. But in real projects, your application may load good amount of data and it may take more than 1 second or 2 seconds to display the information on the component. In this kind of setup, the end user should get a proper feedback on what is happening inside the application. If I click on this about and come back to home, the end user is not getting any feedback. Only after 3 seconds, the home component is being rendered, because when we are using the loader functions to load the data, the destination component will not render until the entire data is loaded from the backend API. To handle these kind of scenarios and to give some proper feedback to the end user, there is a hook available inside the React Router DOM library. The hook name is useNavigation. Inside the app.jsx, I'm going to use that navigation because this is the place where we are using the outlet. So this outlet is a placeholder to replace the component dynamically based upon the end user's action. At this location, I need to write a logic to display some loading message to the end user if the loading of the data is in progress. Let me import the hook with the name useNavigation. There is also another hook with the name useNavigate, which we are going to explore in the coming lectures. For now, let's focus on useNavigation. If you try to understand the documentation of this hook, the documentation conveys that this hook, it is going to return the current navigation defaulting to an ideal navigation when no navigation is in progress. We can use this hook to render pending UI like a global spinner or showing some loading message. Or we can also use this hook to read the form data from a form navigation. Inside React Router library, there is a concept called actions. Just like loaders, we also have actions. With the help of actions, we should be able to submit the data to the backend REST APIs from the UI forms. Under such scenarios as well, we can use this useNavigation to read the form data. We're going to explore actions in the upcoming lectures. For now, let's focus on using this useNavigation to understand the current navigation state. I'm going to import this useNavigation followed by inside the app functional component, I'm going to create a constant with the name navigation. To this constant, I'll try to assign the output from the useNavigation hook by simply invoking this hook. Now, using this navigation constant, I should be able to invoke a state variable. This state variable, it is going to hold what is the current navigation status. Let me press backspace and press Control Enter, which is going to show me some options here. I'm going to select state. If I hover on this state, you will be able to see that this property, it is going to have 3 different values. State ideal means there is no navigation is happening inside your application. The application right now in an ideal state. In the scenarios where the loader function is invoked and it is about to load a component, once the loader function returns the data, under such scenarios, we are going to see the status as loading. Whereas when you are trying to submit the data to the backend REST API by using form and actions concept, under such scenarios, the status will be submitting. We are going to explore submitting in the coming lectures. For now, loading is the state that we need to look for. So whenever the state value is loading, it is an indication to us that the navigation is in progress and my loader function is being executed. Once the loader function returns the data, the state will be changed to the ideal and the actual component will be rendered on the UI. During this loading state, we can show some feedback to the end user conveying that there is something is happening inside the application. Let me take this navigation.state just above the outlet. Here, I'm going to write some JavaScript expression. First, I will check if the navigation.state is equal to loading. If it is in the loading status, I want to display some loading content. Otherwise, in the else condition, I want to display this outlet. Inside the else condition, let me mention parentheses, and inside this parentheses, I'm going to mention this outlet. Now, let's focus on building the true condition. Under the true condition, first, I'll try to have a div element followed by, I will try to have a span element as well. Using this span, I'm going to show a text to the end user saying that loading. Since we want to display this loading at the center of the page and it should appear both in the dark mode and the light mode, we need to make sure we are applying some styling to this div and span. Let me type class name next to the div element, and here I'm going to mention some utility classes like flex, item center, justify center, and minimum -h screen. Followed by I'm going to mention the class name for span as well. Here I'm going to mention text to Excel, font semi-bold, text primary, and in the scenario of dark, the text will be light. So let me save this and go to the browser. This time, if I go to About and come back to the Home, there is a status being displayed to the end user saying that loading. So this is a very good feedback to the end user. We can see the demo one more time. I'm going to click on Contact and coming back to the home page by clicking on this logo, you will be able to see the loading is being displayed here. The footer is not properly visible because we have mentioned here as minimum height screen. Due to this loading related JSX code, it is taking the entire screen. That's why the footer is not visible properly towards the end. Maybe what I can do is instead of this minimum H screen, I'm going to mention minimum H 852px. We can also try to increase this text to maybe 4XL and see how it is going to look like. I'm going to press on About and come back to Home. This time it is looking great. Instead of this loading, you can also show some spinners as well based upon your business requirements. I hope you're clear on the purpose of useNavigation. You can always hover on this hook and it is going to give you some good information on what is the purpose of this hook. I'm going to remove this thread.sleep because we're done with the demos. If I remove this and save this and do the build, this time I should get the instant results because our API is loading only few records of data. But in real applications, it may take 1 second or 2 seconds based upon the amount of data that you are trying to load.